In the complex, noisy world of 1980s music production, a young Rick Rubin made a shocking discovery. His greatest power was not in adding sound, but in demanding silence. Now that's a heck of an opening line, right? Today, we are going deep. We're deconstructing a true legend. We're gonna pull back the curtain on the man who basically turned the music industry on its head, all with a philosophy so simple, yet so powerful, that it's been shaping culture for decades. So together, let's explore this idea of stillness that breeds genius.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This one idea is the master key to his entire world. You gotta remember, this was the era of excess. We're talking big hair, massive synthesizers, effects layered on top of effects. And here comes Rubin, moving in a complete opposite direction. He just knew instinctively that genius isn't something you build by piling more stuff on. No, it's something you find, when you have the guts to strip all of that noise away. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a style choice. It was a full-blown act of rebellion.
All right, so here's our game plan for this journey. We're gonna start with that initial spark, that one moment that really defined his whole philosophy. Then we'll dig into how he built that rebel mindset. After that, we'll actually break down his art of subtraction and the daily habits he uses to make it work. We'll look at his legacy as the guru of reduction, and then, maybe most importantly, we'll figure out how you can take these lessons and use them in your own life and work.
Okay, let's kick things off with the moment his theory slammed into reality. This wasn't some slow burn idea, it was more like a lightning strike, right there in the pressure cooker of a recording studio. This was the moment his wild, counterintuitive idea got put to the ultimate test. So, picture this. You've got the Beastie Boys in the studio. They are just pure, chaotic, sample-heavy energy. And the industry playbook is screaming. Layer it, add more sounds, make it bigger, more complex. But Rubin, he does the one thing nobody expected. He tells them to strip it all down. He yanks out the complex tech, the extra instruments, and forces them back to this raw, bare-bones core. All that's left? A booming 808 beat and their unmistakable voices. It was a massive, massive gamble. But in that empty, quiet space, something absolutely electric emerged. Their pure, undiluted, authentic voice. He proved right then and there that silence is an empty space, it's an amplifier. And that experience right there is what cemented his entire philosophy. Stillness that breeds genius. But look, this is way more than just turning the volume knob down. The key is in that definition. It's about getting rid of all the unnecessary distractions. We're talking about the psychological noise too. You know, the artist's ego, what the record label wants, the fear of failing, the pressure to chase the latest trend. For Rubin, the producer's real job is to be a guardian of that stillness, to create a sacred space where the real emotional truth of the art can finally be heard, with no static. So you have to ask, where did this rebellious streak even come from? I mean, to really get the method, you have to understand the man and the world he was fighting against. This whole philosophy, it wasn't born in some quiet meditation retreat. It was forged in the fire of a really divided music scene. Think about the early 80s music scene. Everything was in these rigid little boxes. You were either a punk band or a hip-hop group. You were rock or you were pop. And those walls between them were super high and thick. But Rubin, co-founding Def Jam Records, literally from his dorm room at NYU, he saw all of that as, well, just artificial nonsense. While the rest of the industry was yelling for more separation, more layers, more everything, Rubin was hearing something else entirely. He was already thinking about blending things together, about subtracting, about finding that raw emotional core that he believed all great music shared, no matter what you called it. And this is the moment that proved him right to the entire world. Walk This Way wasn't just a smash hit, it was a cultural earthquake. It completely obliterated the walls between rock and hip-hop. It was the ultimate I told you so. By stripping both of these legendary groups down to a shared core, that powerful, head-nodding beat and a raw, high-energy vocal, he showed everyone that the feeling of music is a universal language. That one track proved his point for good. The biggest creative breakthroughs happen when you simplify, when you create contrast, and when you have the courage to just ignore the rulebook. Okay, so now that we have the origin story, let's really get our hands dirty and deconstruct the method itself. We're shifting gears from his biography to a real systematic breakdown. How does Rick Rubin actually turn this Zen-like philosophy of stillness into hit records over and over again? His main technique is something he calls subtractive production, and the key word here is systematic.
This is not just some vague hippie vibe of less is more. Nope. This is a deliberate, almost surgical process. It's like this. Imagine a song has a guitar, bass, drums, a synth, and a bunch of vocal harmonies. Rubin listens and asks, does that synth actually add any real emotion, or is it just filling up space? If it's just filler, it's gone. Do we need 3 perfect polished harmonies, or does one raw, cracked, vulnerable voice tell the real story? The goal is to just keep removing things until you can't take one more thing away, without the song collapsing, without it losing its emotional heart.
So, how does he decide what stays and what goes? Well, this quote right here, it's the secret sauce. Rubin completely reimagined what a producer is supposed to be. He's not the tech nerd twisting knobs. He's not a songwriter trying to force his own ideas in. He is something much, much more profound. He's a guide. He sees his job as being the very first member of the audience, the stand-in for every single person who will eventually hear that song. His loyalty isn't to the artist's ego or to some passing trend. It's 100% to the emotional gut punch the audience is going to feel.
And that leads him to his ultimate filter, the one question that just slices through all the noise. He's not asking, is this technically flawless, or is this cool enough? And he's definitely not asking, will this get radio play? It is just one simple thing. Does this make me feel something? That's what he calls the listener's lens. And it's such a simple question, right? But it is incredibly hard to answer honestly. It forces everybody in that room to shut off their brains and just connect with the raw, intuitive, emotional core of the music. That question is the compass that guides every single cut he makes.
Look, having a great philosophy is one thing, but making it happen is everything. So how does Rubin actually create an environment where this kind of brutal honesty and subtraction is even possible? Let's look at these specific, everyday habits that really bring his method to life.
He's famous for this incredibly strict system. Let's call it the Unplugged Protocol. When Rick Rubin is in a session, he is 100% disconnected from the outside world. No phone, no email. He often doesn't even put his hands on the mixing board or the computer. Now, you might think, is this guy just lazy? But that's not it at all. It is a very deliberate system designed to maximize one single thing: his total, undivided presence. I mean, in today's world, this is basically deep work on a spiritual level. It's a full-on rebellion against the attention economy, a choice to be completely here, now, in a world that's always screaming at you to be somewhere else.
See, by refusing to mess with the gear, he takes himself out of the equation as a technical problem solver. He can't get lost down some rabbit hole of tweaking a microphone setting. His entire job becomes one thing: to listen. This whole protocol forces him to become like a pure, clean mirror, just reflecting the artist's own energy and ideas right back at them with zero distortion. A mirror doesn't give you its opinion, right? It just shows you what's really there. And that's the sacred space he creates.
His other huge tool is what we can call the essential question system. So when an artist is stuck or a song just isn't hitting great, a normal producer might suggest a technical fix, like, hey, let's change the key or let's speed it up. Rubin does the exact opposite. He asks these simple, almost philosophical questions to get back to square one. It's basically the Socratic method for making music, and it's designed to completely bypass an artist's usual technical habits. For instance, he might just be lying on the couch, close his eyes and ask, what is the real purpose of this song? Or what are you actually trying to say here? It seems almost too basic, but it's an absolute game changer. It forces the artist to stop thinking like a musician who's worried about chord changes and to start thinking like a human being again. It reconnects them to that first spark, that original feeling that made them want to write the song in the first place. It just cuts through all the creative noise and gets them right back to the core. So when you start to put all these pieces together, the philosophy, the subtraction, the daily habits, you really start to see just how massive his impact has been. This was never just about making a few good records. This was about completely changing what a producer does, and, in the process, creating a timeless blueprint for creativity itself. I mean, just look at this list of artists. The Beastie Boys, Slayer, Johnny Cash, Adele, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It almost looks like a mistake, right? Hip-hop, thrash metal, country, pop, funk rock. On paper, these genres have absolutely nothing in common. And yet, Rick Rubin has made career-defining, legendary albums in every single one of them. Just think about that. The same mind that tapped into the pure, brutal power of Slayer also found the quiet, heartbreaking soul in Johnny Cash's final recordings.
It's the ultimate proof that his method has nothing to do with a specific sound. It's a universal philosophy that works everywhere because it always hones in on the one thing all great art has in common: a real, authentic, emotional core.
And that evolution, that's his real legacy. He started out as this technical weirdo, a rebel fighting against a system that was built on more. And he evolved into a cultural guru, a kind of Zen master that the world's biggest artists seek out, not for his skills on a mixing board, but for his profound wisdom. He proved over and over that genius isn't about what you add, it's about what's left, what's revealed after you take everything else away. He gave all of us a blueprint that shows the most powerful force in art, and maybe in life, is just the relentless, hardcore pursuit of clarity.
Which of course brings us to the final and, I think, most important part of all of this. How do we take this amazing blueprint and actually apply it to our own lives? Because the lessons from Rick Rubin's method go way beyond the recording studio. So let's make this super practical. First step, stop hiding your ideas under layers of complexity. You know how we do it? We add jargon to a business proposal or fluff to an email to sound smarter. Rubin's method teaches us to have the guts to just be simple and direct. Trust that your core idea is strong enough to stand on its own. What if the smartest thing you could do is just be the clearest person in the room? Second, you have to ruthlessly eliminate noise. This is about creating your own unplugged protocol. Maybe it's turning off notifications for 2 hours every morning. Maybe it's closing all those extra browser tabs. Create sacred blocks of time where you are just laser focused on one thing. And third, find the core. Before you start any project, before you give any presentation, ask yourself, what is the one absolute non-negotiable point I need to get across? Everything else is just noise. Keep subtracting until only that powerful truth is left. When you really boil it all down, Rick Rubin's entire legendary career is built on this one profound truth. The world is noisy. Our minds are noisy. Our projects are noisy. The default setting for everything is chaos and complexity. The real job of any creator, any leader, any thinker isn't to add to that noise. It's to have the discipline and the vision to cut through it. His method proved that this stillness that breeds genius, well, it's the ultimate creative superpower. And that's it. That's the one unbreakable rule that ties his whole journey together. It's a total paradigm shift. It's about stopping the question, what more can I add to this? And starting to ask, what can I be brave enough to take away? Because true clarity, in our art, in our work, and in our lives, is never found in addition. It's found in the courage to subtract.